guys? It's Lord Botha here for another video, and Corinne Busche, the director of BioWare Edmonton, and most notably the person in charge of the game that would be Dragon Age Veilguard, the absolute failure for BioWare, has apparently resigned. Now, originally the news was broke by Smash JT via X, and then later confirmed by other mainstream publications, including this one here at Eurogamer, entitled Dragon Age the Veilguard Director Leaving BioWare. Corinne Busche, who served as game director of Dragon Age Veilguard since February 2022, is departing BioWare. It might be important to reiterate that that sequel for Dragon Age, originally named Dread Wolf, had been in development for about 9 years before its release. So literally, Corinne Busche showed up 2 years before it was released and completely wrecked the development of this thing. Whispers of her exit began circulating online last night and were first confirmed by journalist Jeff Grubb. Eurogamer also confirmed Busche's leaving BioWare. They're talking about Smash JT right there. Eurogamer understands that BioWare itself is otherwise unaffected by any other changes, contrary to rumor. The rumor that they're talking about there is that BioWare Edmonton is expected to close. Now, BioWare might be telling Eurogamer, oh, we're not closing our Edmonton studios yet or whatever, but it's definitely strongly in the rumor mill that Edmonton is going to be closed. I'm seeing it posted pretty much everywhere besides Eurogamer. Eurogamer reports commercially sales have been decent, but there's also been a suggestion that sales have not exceeded expectations. That's a very copy way of saying, we sold a decent amount of the game, but it didn't actually cover the budget to make it, nor did it justify the extremely long time to develop this game. Because they're very specific there to say sales are decent. They don't say that revenue or profit is good. Still, Eurogamer understands that Veilguard's commercial performance was not a direct factor in Busche's departure. At least that's what she claims. Post Dragon Age the Veilguard, the bulk of BioWare is now turning its attention fully to the next Mass Effect game, which is being led by a separate small team of veterans, who were very clear, if you don't remember, right before this game launched, to say, hey, we don't have anything to do with those guys or that team. We're going to still keep the same tone and the same kind of method of making Mass Effect games as we have in the past. They were very, very clear to distinguish themselves from Corinne Busche and her team making Dragon Age. It's almost like they knew it was going to be a disaster and didn't want their reputations being attached to it at all. They're also smart doing this because they know at BioWare they need the Mass Effect franchise to get a new spark of life, to be the new franchise carrying BioWare forward, because they're essentially the last big franchise that BioWare has to carry them through. Veilguard has killed the Dragon Age series. We'll probably never get another Dragon Age game again, and that's super, super sad because I'm a huge fan. In a post-release interview with Busche and Elper, John Elper, the other director of BioWare and Dragon Age Veilguard, Elper is quoted as saying, "The reality was whatever we came out with, it was never going to match Dragon Age 4 in people's minds and people's imaginations." Of course, we all know that's a load of BS and cope. That's what everybody says when they make something absolutely awful. They blame people's expectations. They blame the fans. They blame the consumers these days. In the reality, you just made a terrible game. Sorry, that's the reality of it. It's also being reported that Busche is leaving the studios because she, he, whatever pronouns you want to use for this person, is going to work on a new separate project or something, and that's the real reason they're leaving. It has nothing to do with the fact that Dragon Age was actually a failure that they tried to cope and say did really well. At the end of the day, here is the reality of the situation. You have a game director who came in at the last minute, decided to blow up the entire game as it was being developed over the course of nearly a decade. This director was a trans person who decided to shoehorn a bunch of trans ideology and agenda stuff and storylines into the game, abandon all pretty much of the through storylines of the previous game, is known on record to not really like gamers, and has talked a lot of shit over this time. Basically created a culture around the release of the video game of, if you don't like it, don't buy it, along with the same typical mantras of, if you don't like what we created, you're a bigot, etc., etc. Then when it released, it didn't do well. It didn't justify the huge development time. It didn't justify the development costs. It didn't bring any new life into the actual game series. And now this director has secured it as a dead franchise. And now that director is off to go ruin another franchise or make some other shit small game on their own. Basically, if BioWare is the Titanic, Corinne Busche is the dude who dressed up like a lady to try to get on the lifeboat and is sailing off into the distance now. Hopefully, BioWare can salvage something out of the Mass Effect series, which is a series that I truly, absolutely love. One of my favorite game series of all time. And now that some of the dead weight is gone from the company, hopefully there's a little bit better of a chance of that. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.